what's the total appropriation here in this bill?
$721 million. That's for the Monetary Award Program funding, operational and base grant, equalization and base grants for community colleges, and some federal, some matching maintenance of effort funds for federal money that have already gone to the universities for adult literacy and career and job training.
Okay, $721 million, and that's all, I believe you said that's all general revenue funds, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I don't know if there is anyone in this House who doesn't want to vote for this. Is there anyone in this House who does not want to fund community colleges? Is there anyone in this chamber who doesn't feel that those students who need their MAP grants shouldn't get their MAP grants? I think we all believe that's the case. There is no question but those community colleges need the money. There's no question but those students need the MAP grants. Now, I know all of you know this, but if I may, because we have folks in the gallery and watching, let me put a couple of things into the record. And it's been referred to here by some of the previous speakers. How does this money get paid? What's the procedure? What happens? Well, the Illinois Community College Board and the Illinois Student Assistance Commission prepares a voucher. And they send the voucher over to the comptroller's office, just like every other agency does it. They send the voucher to the comptroller's office, and then the comptroller's office is expected to write the check and pay the voucher. The problem is there's a glitch. There's a glitch here. And what's the glitch? There's no money in the till to send the check out. That's a problem. You know, if there's no money in my bank account, I'm not supposed to write the check. I get in trouble when I do that, and that's the situation here with the state of Illinois on a much larger scale. There's no money in the account to write the check. Okay? Have any of you been in the basement of the Capitol recently? Probably. Have you seen a printing press down in the basement? Probably not, at least not one that does what they do at the federal government. The federal government can print money. As a matter of fact, they printed about $100+ billion more than what the bills are, or what money they had in the till to pay the bills. We can't do that. We actually have to have the money in the account so that the comptroller can write the check. She doesn't have the money in the account. So what happens to that voucher that goes over to the comptroller's office when she gets that voucher for a total of $721 million? And what's the, I think MAP is what, 168 million or thereabouts, something like that. What happens to that voucher? Well, it gets put in this big, long queue. And you heard referenced earlier, the queue is now about the queue is now about $7 billion worth of vouchers that have to be paid. Now, the comptroller has some latitude on what vouchers get paid, so you could say, well, we'll take the voucher for the MAP grants and we'll pay that voucher for the MAP grants. Well, there's a glitch there too. And the glitch there is that some judge somewhere, well, we know where it is, who has no idea of what state finances are, has said, well, when those bills come in on certain items, like certain Medicaid items, you, comptroller, have to pay them. Doesn't matter how much they add up to, but you have to pay them. I don't know if any of you have talked to some of your Medicaid providers, especially those who provide services to some of the developmentally disabled. I don't know if any of you have talked to them recently. I have. You know what? They are flush with cash. They are flush with cash because as soon as the bill comes in, the comptroller has to pay it. Because there's no appropriation in place. Because the nice thing about an appropriation, it puts an upper limit on how much can be spent. But when the judge simply says you got to pay the bill, you got to pay the bill. And now we're $7 billion in debt. So now this voucher for the $721 million is going to go over to the comptroller's office, and it's going to sit in a queue. Well, who else is in that queue? And for you folks downstate, have you talked to, let's say, your dentists recently? The dentists downstate, as an example, under the health care program that we provide in the state of Illinois, they provide health care, they provide dental care to state employees downstate. And downstate, they have a lot of state employees. Not so much in my area, but there are some. But downstate, they have a lot of employees. And the health care for those employees is provided by the dentists and the doctors downstate. And guess what? You know those vouchers in the comptroller's office? $2 billion of them are for health care providers. Health care providers. So the dentists don't get paid, the doctors don't get paid. That's the problem. It is terribly, terribly unfortunate that we do not have the money, because we haven't passed a budget, that we don't have the money to pay the bills. But passage of this override and an enactment of the appropriation doesn't suddenly put $721 million into the general revenue fund. For those folks in the gallery who are expecting the money, for those community colleges who need the money, for those students who desperately need their MAP grants, don't hold your breath. I wish I could say something differently, but don't hold your breath. There's no revenue there that's going to allow the comptroller to write the check. What a terrible injustice we do by enacting an appropriation for $721 million to pay a bill that we know that cannot be paid. This appropriation brings in no money. It doesn't put any money into the general revenue fund. What it does, as clearly as I can state it, it digs our hole deeper. It puts this great land of Lincoln into a bigger financial quagmire than we're already in. I urge you, we want to vote for the bill. I understand. We want to vote for the override. We want the money out there. But the way to do it is to get a budget in place to make it happen. Not this way. I strongly urge a no vote on this override.